Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. And we're delighted to have back with us French coach, statistician, and journalist PJ Vazel. Hello,
Hello,
PJ.
hello Anna. Thank you
Lovely to
for
see
having
you,
me
and a big
again.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me again, and it's always a pleasure to follow your emission.
Thank you so much. So it's been a really fantastic fortnight since our last show. 3 world records and lots of really great performances. So it'll be great to review them all with our guest. So let's start right away. Diamond League was back after the window for national championships and trials, and there were some really spectacular results. On 7 July, meeting de Paris, first Diamond League after the break, 2 fabulous world records, 2 area records, and 1 world lead. So, PJ, what athletes impressed you the most at the Paris Diamond League?
The athlete who impressed me the most was Jaroslava Mauchik, because I was not expecting her to jump that high. Actually, I was on the stadium, but I was not following the high jump. I was on the women's 100 meters, and I heard, Mauchik just jumped 2:07, and now she's attempting a world record. So I was surprised that I didn't have time to move, and I saw her jumping 2:10, and it was fantastic because this world record has lasted so long, 87. Nobody in this field was even born in 87. And at last, because there were a lot of attempts, I think there was 12 world record attempts in a single year in 2006 between Kasia Bergqvist and Veneva. But the bar didn't stay actually for 210 or 211, the world record attempts. At last, it's broken, and I saw that Kostadinova, the former holder, had a gracious reaction to that performance. So I was very happy. Everybody was very happy about this record.
No, that was really great. And as you mentioned, Jaroslava herself said that Kostadinova had told her at the European Championships, you can do it. So that was really, really cool. And I was also surprised because honestly, women's high jump and men's high jump had been stagnating for some years. As you said, I think it was maybe 2009, the last year in which it seemed like Ariane Friedrich could challenge Blanka Blasic, and it seemed like something would happen, and then it didn't. So I was also a bit surprised, but yeah, it's really great to see it go.
And Jaroslava is so young, so many years hopefully ahead of her.
Yes, exactly. No, that was just fantastic. And what were your other events?
So, of course, Faith Kipyegon again. Like last year, she broke the world record at 5K. Now it's 150 meters. It was her first race outside of Kenya this year. What a debut for the season. A late debut, but a fantastic debut. And she was followed by Jessica Hull. And I saw the interview by her saying that Kipyegon was kind of worried and looking back at her because she was not expecting probably her to be on her heels for so long. So both did fantastic time, the world record for Faith and ocean record 350 for her. Fantastic race.
No, that was really an amazing race. And as you said, I mean, Jessica Hull, she was totally impressive. She was sticking with Kipyegon for 4 laps. She only dropped slightly behind in the last 300. And as you said, it's very rare to see the multiple world and Olympic champion turning around to check what is this? Somebody's behind me. So it was really, really good. And I mean, she had such a great performance, and it was rewarded with the Oceania record, of course, 3:50.83, and not only Oceania record, but she moves to number 5 in the all-time list. So an excellent, really excellent mark. And the whole race was very good, with the top 8 all setting personal best, and the top 12 all under 4 minutes. So really, really great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was historic race. Top 8 breaking their PB means something, and it happened also at 800-meter race for men. Top 8 also broke their PB. We were kind of used of those depths for 1,500 meters, but not really for 800 meters, because in the past years, most of the races were won in 143, 144, and I was personally surprised because with the new spikes, with the wave light, with the new training methods, I was expecting the 800 meters to be much faster. I saw at the Diamond League final last year some 142 in Eugene, and now suddenly it was an explosion of times. I was expecting one unit to have a bid against the road records, because he ran 141 in high altitude, a solo run at Canyon Trials. And that what was going on for 700 meters in Paris, a race by himself, but there were still a lot of people behind him on those hills. And there was a real sprint in the last 100 meters. And 3 men under 142. At last, the 800 meters is reviving, at least with the times, and new faces. A lot of guys who were running 144, suddenly 142 or even 141. And I think it's very exciting race to watch this year.
Definitely. And that's another event, both men and women, which had been stagnating for some time, you know. After Rudisha stopped, nothing really exciting happened. And then all of a sudden, you have this absolutely fabulous race. I mean, Jamel Sejati had been winning meets for a couple of years, but not at that high level. And he has this crazy kick, of course, which helps in situations when there's still quite a lot of athletes going strong. So that was another really, really impressive competition. Mm-hmm. Now, other top performances from Paris that I'd like to mention. There was an excellent 3,000 meters steeplechase, which ended with a photo finish. You had Abraham Sime, 8:02:36, same time for Amos Serem, and it was the decimals 3:56 for the Ethiopian and 3:58. So 0.02 of a second separating the top two in the 3,000 steeplechase. That was pretty crazy, and at a pretty high level, of course. Now, there was also another 6-meter victory for Mondo Duplantis. And also, in addition to Hull, there was another Oceania record in the men's 3,000 meter steeplechase by 1,500 meter indoor world champion Jordi Beamish, who took over 3.5 seconds from his own continental best from a year before, bringing it to 8:09:64. So congratulations, Beamish, who is doing this, between the 1,500 and the steeplechase. That's interesting. Among the women, I'd highlight the 400-meter victory by Mary Lady Paulino in 49:20. Now, that was her 4th Diamond League win of 2024 in as many meets. So congratulations, Mary Lady. But also, I'd like to mention the first Diamond League victory for Luxembourg's Patricia van der Wecken in 11:06, but into a 2 meters headwind. And she beat more titled rivals, including Mujinga Kambunji, Eva Svoboda, and Tamara Clark. So I always like it when smaller countries win events, and she's been growing steadily over the past couple years. So spoke to her in the mix zone, and here is what Van der Wecken had to say after her race.
Félicitations Patricia, tu continues une excellente année 2024. Donc qu'est-ce que ça fait de mettre le nom de ton pays si haut, parce que c'est quand même rare les champions luxembourgeois?
Oui, je suis super contente, super fière surtout de représenter le Luxembourg de la meilleure manière, et je suis super fière de porter ce couleur en championnat mais aussi en meeting, donc franchement je suis super contente.
Oui, parce que déjà Glasgow, bon déjà avant les championnats en salle, on te voyait régulièrement. Glasgow, c'était pas tout à fait sur le podium, mais très bien. Donc tu dois être super contente de ton année, ça doit te donner beaucoup de confiance pour les JO.
Oui, je suis super contente de mes derniers mois. Même l'année prochaine, l'année dernière c'était très bien. J'espère rester sur cette année et faire une belle performance.
Ben, super, félicitations. Ciao.
Now, 5 days later, at the Hercules in Monaco on 12 July, there were more excellent performances with 4 world leads, 1 world record, and 4 area records. So among the many performances, PJ, which athletes impressed you the most in Monaco?
So again, for me, the 800 meters men stood out because the race was even faster, at least for the leader. Sejati improved his mark from Paris, and again, a lot of fast time behind. And what was interesting to me also for Paris is that it was kind of tactical race for all, especially Sejati and Gabriel Tual, the French guy, because they had to run in the second lane for most of the race. So when you look at how much distance they covered 6 to 10 meters more than the actual distance, and they still run very fast, and the pace is faster than the current world record held by Rudisha. So I'm expecting if there is a fast start at the Olympics, a little like London 12, and the guys follow and are not shoulder to shoulder and stay on lane 1, they can run 140 and break the world record, which would be incredible and not expected some weeks before.
No, definitely. That was crazy. And it was such a race, unbelievable race in Paris. And then they do it again. So, of course, great for Sejati, for Tual to confirm at, to improve for the Algerian and to come very, very close to the mark he had set in Paris for Gabriel. So that is really good. It wasn't like a one-off race. They really show that they can do it again. So that is now turning into one of the most exciting races for the Olympics, which is not something I was expecting to say 2 weeks ago.
But Wanyoni, I think it was a wise decision to not come to Monaco because it's still very difficult to run that fast and recover emotionally, physically, so close to the games. So I think it was wise for him to recover and train and go back to training. Mm-hmm. So we will see who is in better shape in Paris.
Well, I hope he's back because I really love Emmanuel Wanyonyi. He's such a wonderful person. So I hope he's at his best in Paris, and then we'll see what happens there on the track. And how about your other events?
Another event was the world record for 2,000 meters. It's said to be a rarely run event, but the record was still very high. It was used to be held by Kazankina, O'Sullivan, Dibaba, Nyonsaba. So this record was strong, and 5:19, and she had even a split at the mile at 4:18, which is very fast, and she still had a lap to do.
Crazy.
And I was expecting this performance, but again, to be able to back up from a great race in Paris, and again another great race in Monaco, she really has reached another level.
Yes, yes, definitely. I'd spoken to her in Paris, but then again in Monaco, and she's made so much progress. And I really think, and she agreed that that the World Cross in Bathurst made a big difference for her. I mean, if you remember, she ran this fabulous leg in the mixed relay, which allowed Australia to win the bronze. But there she kind of realized that, yes, I can fight up there with the best. And after that, she's been just setting one area record after the other. So I was really happy that she finally got her own world record, even if it's on the 2000. The performance, as you said, was still high. So that was really good. Mm-hmm. And of course, you can listen to Jessica herself in the interviews that we've posted on the channel after Paris and after Monaco. And your third moment from Monaco?
My third moment would be Letsile Tebogo at 200 meters. The time was not very fast, but the way he did that was impressive. He was really dominating that race, that field. He had a difficult season so far, running fast time, but also had personal issue that he didn't want to comment for personal reasons. But now he's back to full shape before the games, and I'm very excited to see what he will run.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that was really crazy. He really took his foot off the accelerator, took a little look to the left, so that Ogando wasn't in a position to scare him, and he just cruised the last few meters. And he hinted something, saying that he needed to get the confidence back into the body. But the way he ran in Monaco, I think the confidence should be back there.
And we still yet to know what is his best event, 100, 200, 400.
Yeah. I mean, he'd run this fabulous time on the 400, was it March or April? And wow. So no, really, he's such an excellent athlete. So that will be really interesting. And I hope he can totally fulfill his potential, because it can be really great. So other top marks in Monaco, especially among the men. Now, Rai Benjamin winning the Battle of Titans in the 400 meter hurdles. That was impressive. So he prevailed over Olympic and triple world champion Karsten Warholm, thanks to a better finish. 46.67 for Rai, 46.73 for Karsten, and Alisson dos Santos was a little bit further back, 47.18, but still very, very fast times. And now what's crazy is that the American said after the race that he wasn't feeling well. He had had an almost sleepless night due to jet lag. So it's like, if he runs that fast when he's not feeling well, it can bode very well for Paris. And finally, he could win, an individual gold medal. He's always placed second in the hurdles so far, so we'll see. But he's been very, very consistent, so it'll be interesting to see what he does in Paris. And another great performance, which passed almost unnoticed at the end of the meeting, was Jakob Ingebrigtsen, European record of 3:26.73, and that moves him to number 4 in the all-time list. So very, very good performance. And the Norwegian was clearly delighted after his race, and he'll be looking forward to confirm his Olympic title. and especially to avenge the 2 consecutive World Championships losses to British milers. So that must have been a confidence booster for Jakob. Now, among the women, the top performances were not quite as strong. They came from St. Lucia's Julian Alfred in the 100 meters with 10:85, and Ireland's Razidat Adeleke in the 400 meters with 49:17, quite close to her PB. But I think my favorite event from Monaco would be the women's pole vault, which was won by Australia's co-world champion Nina Kennedy on countback. She cleared 4:88 on the first attempt, while Switzerland's Angelika Moser needed a third one. And Moser improved her national record twice, bringing it first to 4:83, then to 4:88. And she had only recently improved that to 4:78 when she won the European Championships in Rome. So that was good, and it was good to have athletes challenging each other. It wasn't a walkover for Nina Kennedy, which is always more interesting. Now, there were also 2 area records behind Hull's world record in the 2,000 meters, one for NACAC and one for South America. And the NACAC one was of good quality. That was Corianne McGee with 5:28.78. So well done. And that moves the American to number 13 in the all-time list, which, as you mentioned, has some super champions like Dibaba, like great athletes from the past. So good performances. Now, PJ, what were the results, one for Paris and one for Monaco, which you would never have expected?
I think so. It's not a win. It's a second place, a very close second place. He was at hurdles by Trey Cunningham. I was not expecting him to run at this level because he didn't qualify for the Olympics. He failed to make the US team. And I found that it was very impressive by him or other athletes to be able to not really overcome the deception, because it will take a longer time, but be able to be composure enough and have this professional mindset to jump again on the horse and to compete well. So I was impressed by this. I was not expecting him to run 13:15. So he was beaten on the line by Sasha Zoya, and that was impressive to me, because I know how deep is the deception for these athletes. Nia Ali, also another hurdler, expressed the difficulty to come back after not making the team and still have to compete to make money and to be a professional athlete. So that was the Paris surprise for me. And for Monaco, again, not a win, but the nice PB by Lieke Klaver at 400 meters, 49:64, I think. I think she was also surprised by the time, because recently her times have not met her expectation, probably. But I have confidence on her training program, on her coach, Laurent Meuvely, who is the same coach as Femke Bol. And they are now picking in shape, obviously, at the right time towards the games. But it's interesting because we know that Femke is also better at 400 meters than Lieke. So knowing also that Lieke is now 49.6 runner, you can imagine how far Bol can be on the flat.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I mean, you look at the start list and you think Razida Tadeleke is by far the strongest one, but Lieke gave her a good run for her money. And actually, it's interesting because Lika's interview is the most popular one of the 4 that we posted from Monaco. So it just shows that there were quite a few people who thought that was good. And yeah, I was really happy to see her do so well. Mm-hmm.
She's a little bit in the shadow of Femke, although they are very friends together. But of course, Lika is attracting all the glitters and the cameras. But Lika is a fantastic athlete also.
And Lika is actually very modest, because I remember in one of the shows with Esther Singendonk, who is the media officer for the Dutch Federation. You know, when they had gone 1-2 at the World World Indoors on 400, and Lika was like really happy for Femke, and Esther's like, well, you know, maybe you should be happy for yourself as well, because you have a fabulous, but, you know, she's always, so I like that aspect of Lika Klaver as well. So in addition to the 2 Diamond League meetings, there were also a series of other competitions in the last couple of weeks, which produced a great result. On the same day as Paris Diamond League, on 7 July, the World Athletics Continental Tour meeting in Hengelo. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't as good as Paris. 2 days later, July Istvan Memorial in Székesfehérvár. And on 16 July, the Spitzenleichtathletik in Luzern. So let's see which athletes impressed PJ the most from the other meets, non-Diamond League, over the last 2 weeks.
So we just mentioned that Lika Klaver is speaking, and Femke also, Femke Bol, as she broke the European record in La Chaux-de-Fonds. It's an interesting place because a lot of personal best and national records are every year broken in this place. But now she's on the 51 second, which is an extraordinary time. We've said that Lika is a little bit in the shadow of Femke on the European scene, but on the world scene, Femke is on the shadow of Sydney McLaughlin, who is an incredible athlete. And Femke is really probably the best 400-meter hurdles of all time, except she's competing in the area of same area as Sydney McLaughlin, and now they are close time together, 50.6 and 50.8 or 9. So the difference now is decreasing, and importantly, Femke now is able to start very fast, to do the first part of the race as fast as Sydney, which was not the case before. She could only rely on her finish, but now she can start and finish. So the race in Paris, I want to be in the stands.
Definitely.
And the line draw will have their importance also.
Yes.
And change many things.
And how about your other 2?
So hammer throw has seen a new face since last year in Ethan Kasberg, the Canadian. He won the world title, of course, last year, and with the Cameron Rogers also won in women's side. But Cameron, we've seen her for several years already, but Ethan was boom. Yeah. And his first competition this year was 84 meters in Kenya. And that's a distance that we are not used to see anymore at hammer throw. And then he made a lot of competition, but he was training through them, so not trying to throw far because he couldn't, because he was loaded by the hard training that Dylan Armstrong is giving to him. But now they will deload, and he almost threw 82 meters in Székesfehérvár. And I'm expecting him to break the Olympic record, which stands since Seoul 88, and maybe meet the 85 meters barrier, because Ethan is different kind. Is the tallest ever at over 80 meters, among the 80 meters plus throwers, and there have been more than 100. And is young,
Yeah.
which in the event where how do you say, experience and age is so important to master technique, power, and emotions all together. And he seems to have all this at only 22. It's crazy. So that was I wanted to mention him because we don't see them on the Diamond League circuit. Yeah. So or on pre-program, so we don't really get to see them. And I think he can be a big star in Paris already.
Mm-hmm. And as you said, I mean, in Budapest, he was a bit of a surprise. We didn't really know him, and this year he's dominated the event. And if it was even competing through training, it's all the more impressive.
And after each competition, he would go to the weight room to do another workout. So
okay,
he's not favoring himself at all during this period in May, June.
Mm-hmm. And your third choice?
My third choice is Kishane Thompson, which is the new guy this year. We've seen him last year, but he was not allowed to compete by his coach to prevent him to get injured. So he would sometimes just run the first round and stop. And but he already ran fast last year, but not really against the top guys. Now he won the Jamaican trials, and with ease, because what his coach told him to do was just to run 60 meters and shut down and maintain his position, not in order to avoid injuries, because apparently he's been injured a lot of times in the past years. So if he's injury-free, I don't know who can beat him, really. There are a lot of candidates, but the way he ran so fast at the Jamaican trials, 9.7 like this, is very impressive.
And it's great to have a Jamaican sprinter back at the top. I was really happy with that. And, trials then confirming somewhat in Székesfehérvár. So, yes, very good to have a Jamaican sprinter back challenging the other guys, the US, and of course, my compatriot, Marcel Jacobs.
And he's part of the MVP group coached by Stephen Francis. And they have won all the women's 100 meters titles since Beijing 08 included. So maybe they will win again with Sherika Jackson in Paris if she's healthy. And maybe the men, they always fail to win the men's 100 meters. But maybe they will get it this time. Yeah,
that's an interesting stat. It's true. It's been all Stephen Francis female winners, and now they have a chance among the men. So go Kishane. Mm-hmm. Now, among the other performances outside Diamond League meetings, I would like to highlight another fantastic competition by my compatriot Leonardo Fabri, who we see here winning the European Championships in Rome last month. And he won his third competition this season at 22 meters 90 or more in Pergine Valsugana on 6 July. So that was really good. And in 2 days, all top shot putters, Ryan Krauser, Leo Fabri, Joe Kovacs, and more, they will face off at the Diamond League meeting in London. So that should really be a great event. So it's time now to go back to the global overview of our sport and check out all the best results of the past 10 days, starting with the senior men's events. So in the 100 meters, we mentioned Kishane Thompson in Székesfehérvár, but there was also an interesting mark by South Africa's Benjamin Richardson 9:86 in La Chaux-de-Fonds. So very good time, and a new, at least I admit I didn't know Benjamin Richardson, an interesting new face from South Africa. Over 200 meters, Letsile Tebogo's mark of 19.87 in Monaco, easing off completely in the last meters, was very good. An excellent performance over the 400, always so in Monaco, by Quincy Hall, the first athlete under 44 seconds this year with 43.80. Now, the 800 meters, that was unreal, completely shook up the list. So Jamel Sejati with 141.46 in Monaco, improving over his 141.56 from Paris. Emmanuel Wagnoni was just 200s behind in Paris. Gabriel Tual 300s behind Wagnoni, 141.61. That was really impressive. Mohamed Attawi of Spain was second in Monaco with 42.03. Aaron Kemei Cheminingwa, not far behind in Paris. They had the same time. Aaron Cheminingwa and Wycliffe Kinyamal, 142.08 for both of them, and 0.03 of a second separating them. So that was pretty impressive. Gabriel Tual again back, and he's had a great season. He won the European Championships, and he's another athlete who seemed to have acquired much more confidence in himself. Aaron Cheminingwa, again, 142.13 in Monaco. Ben Pattison, 142.27 in Monaco. Now, Elliot Creston, 142.43 in Paris. And that is important because he finally beat the Belgian record, which had belonged to Ivo van Damme since 1976, where he had won 2 Olympic silver medals and passed away in a car accident shortly after that. So it was a great moment for Belgium. Then still Marco Arop, Andreas Kramer, and Elliot Creston in Monaco. So really fantastic performances there. Now, as we said, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, that was 1,292 points, so one of the very best marks of the fortnight. Timothy so he moves to number 4 in the all-time list, as we said. Timothy Cheruyot with 328.71 moves into number 8. And then very good marks also for Brian Komen and Yared Nuguse and Neil Gurley. So excellent. Narve Gile Nordos, 331.06, and Ollie Hoare, 331.07. So a shake-up for the 1500 as well, not quite as much as the 8, but really good. 3,000 meters, very good race in Paris, 7:28.83 for Jacob Kropp and 7:29.46 for Australia's Stuart McSwain. The 3,000 meter steeplechase in Paris with a photo finish we already mentioned, and Abraham Kibiwot of Kenya was third, 4 seconds and more behind the top 2, but still a good mark with 8:06.70. Now, Mr. Grant Holloway was back for another win in Monaco, 13.01 into a 0.7 headwind, so that's important to point out. And Lorenzo Simonelli, after a bit of a slip up in Paris, was again very close to his PB with 13.08. Cordell Tinch in Monaco, 13.10. And as you had mentioned, Trey Cunningham, 13.13 in Monaco. And he had also done really well in Paris. Rashid Muratake had also clocked 13:15 in the heats. And then, of course, Sasha Zoya edging out by 5,000ths of a second, Craig Cunningham in the final. 400-meter hurdles, we mentioned that was one fabulous race. 1,301 points result score for Rai Benjamin, 1,298 for Karsten, and 1,274 for Allison. So that was really good. But what I also like is that Malik James King is confirming his improvement. He'd done very well at the national trials, and he was running very well again, 47.73, not too close to the big three, but still a very good performance. Alison Dos Santos also had 47.78 in Paris, where he was actually, he had a relatively tight race with Rasmus Negi in 47.95. So that's really a good one as well. Pole vault, we mentioned Mondo Duplantis 6 meters in Paris, and there was also a mark of 5.95 for Sam Kendricks. Shot put, I mentioned, of course, Leo Fabri's 22 meters 90. That's worth 1,294 points, not bad. And he also threw 22 meters 43 in Shekes Fehervar. Jordan Geist of the US threw 22.25 in Dublin, and Peyton Otterdahl in Lucerne 21.95. So that's an event which is really looking good. In the discus throw, Nicolas Alekna has been very strong this season, even though he didn't win the Europeans, and Christian Tse won the Doha Diamond League meeting. But another good mark for Nicolas Alekna, 70 meters 20 in Shekes Fehervar, and 2 days earlier, 69.07 in Hengelo, where, as we said, the weather was not too great. And PJ has mentioned his appreciation of Ethan Katzberg, his fourth best mark of the season in Shekes Fehervar with 81 meters 87. So top performances among the men remain the fabulous world records by Mondo Duplantis, 1,333 points result score, and Nicolas Alekna's 74 meters 35 in the discus, which is worth 1,325. So let's check out the women's marks of the fortnight. And here in the 100 meters, we have Julian Alfred with her 10.85 in Monaco. Over the 400, Radizat Adeleke in Monaco, 49.17, and Marilady Paulino, 49.20 in Paris. 1500, of course, Faith Kipyegon's world record in Paris, 1,295 points. And Jessica Hall, very close behind. And as we saw, her performance moves her to number 5 in the all-time list. And the result score is also very impressive, 1,280. Laura Muir was almost 3 seconds behind, but that was still a very good performance, 3:53.79. And a little further behind in the field, Lyndon Hall and Georgia Bell in 3:56 something. 2,000 meter, of course, the world record by Jessica Hall, and she was totally alone there. The other athletes were not anywhere near her. In the steeplechase in Paris, the return of Winfred Mutile Yavi with 9:03.68, and a very good performance and a new national record for Alice Finot with 9:05.01. Now, 100 hurdles, that event had seen fantastic marks at the time of the of the US trials. Now it's Nadine Visser, 12:36 in La Chaux-de-Fonds, and just ahead of Pia Skrzyszowska, 12:37. Jasmine Camacho Quinn, 12:39 in Hengelo, and a few days later, 9 days later in Lucerne, 12:41. So really very good performances there. That's another really interesting event. 400 hurdles, of course. PJ mentioned Femke Bol, also now under 51 seconds. Sydney McLaughlin had improved the world record to 50:65. Femke Bol is now at 50:95, so she's getting closer, and that'll be another great race to watch. Jaroslava Maguchik, 2:10, and that is the best women's performance of the year, 1,319 points result score, so that was really, really good. Nicola Ollislagers could only clear 2:01, but she seems to be really the only challenger for Jaroslava in the high jump. We mentioned two women at 4:88 in the pole vault in Monaco, Nina Kennedy and Angelika Moser. And even though it's just a little bit below our normal cutoff of 1,230 points, still the performance by Jessica Schilder in Hengelo, considering that the weather was bad, 20:33, that deserves credit. So as we said, Jaroslava's performance at 2:10 is now the best performance of the season. It had long been Agnes Jeveton-Getic with her fabulous 10,000 meters world record in Valencia, but now it's Jaroslava. So PJ, season is now well underway, and we can look back at all of 2024. So tell us, what were your three favorite moments so far this year?
So my crazy moment was when Kevin Mayer, who in Rome European Champs, that was his last chance to qualify for the Olympics, and he made 2 falls at pole vault for his first bar, and at the third one he passed it barely. Well, he was well over the bar but touched it, and it was an ecstatic moment for himself, for his staff, and for the world public. It was a relief because as soon as he cleared the bar, we knew that he was going to Paris. It was much more than just clearing a 5-meter pole vault. It was a dream came true for him. So, but now, of course, he got injured in Paris Diamond League at the hurdles. So he's now kind of back to the bottom of the stairs, and we don't know exactly if he will be able to recover on time, because he didn't exactly specify what kind of injuries he has for the leg, and we understand it's worse than we think. But he's been there before. He knows, unfortunately, he knows how to deal with injuries and to live through and train through. The last weeks are not the most important for him regarding training, because before Tokyo and before Rio, he barely trained because he had pains everywhere. So he couldn't do all the workouts. Obviously, now he will not be able to do all those workouts. And I hope we will see him behind the starting blocks at 100 meters in Paris.
I really hope so, because as you said, he's not been a very, very lucky athlete. And what I'm always amazed at Kevin Mayer's modesty. You know, he's with everything that he's achieved, he's really so modest, and he's a huge fighter. So let's see, hopefully hopefully he can surprise even himself in Paris. That would be great.
There's a documentary on France Télévisions. It's probably only for French viewers, I don't know. And it's a 1 hour documentary on his season and qualification season for the Olympics, with also pictures and videos of him when he was a child, a kid, and his first competition. And we get to see him in his intimity, and I think it's interesting for Kevin's fine, but also for all young sportswomen and men who wants to reach elite level, and they can really see what even top stars are going through. It's not easy at all.
Definitely.
They tend to see that once you are on top, things are kind of easy, and they can take things for granted. No, they're as stressed as the younger one.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely check it out because I just renewed my, with the games coming up. I don't usually watch TV, but I'm going to, follow it on streaming, given that unfortunately I won't be there. And I'll check out the Maya documentary as well. Thank you.
It's called Under Tension.
Okay.
And it sums up perfectly the situation, under tension.
Great. Mm-hmm. So what was your second favorite moment of 2024?
So the other moment was Wanyoni's solo run at Kenyan Trials in Nairobi high altitude. He did 141.7 something. I forgot the hundreds.
70. Mm-hmm.
0, and that was the third best performer of all time by then. But I didn't know that Paris and Monaco would shatter the all-time list by 40%, the all-time top 20. So that's really revolutionary. Yes. But he also won this race after falling down. There was an incident in the qualifying run, if I remember correctly, at Kenyan Trials, and he managed to get into the final, and it was mandatory to make the Olympics. So it was very impressive, and I like this runner because he's atypical, as says his Italian coach, Bernardelli, because he's muscular, but not really a sprinter type.
Yeah.
So he kind of has both speed and endurance, which is required, but many athletes don't have both. The Algerians runners have speed. They come from the 400 meters. But Gabriel Tual, for example, is more like, it doesn't really has the speed. And Wanyoni seems to have both, a little bit like Sebastian Coe, who was on the UK team 4x4 at times, and also had the world record at 15,000. So Wanyoni is so young also. We forgot, but he's not even 20 yet. Yeah. So I like him. I like watching him a lot.
And he's another great athlete. Talking about documentaries, James Wakabi told me, because you see him and he's so cool and he's such a wonderful, relaxed person. And apparently he's had a really crazy hardships in his life. When he was younger, he was in and out of school because he needed sometimes to go work to take care of his siblings. So there's a documentary being prepared about Wanyoni, and that's another one that I'm really keen to watch when it's out. Mm-hmm. And your last moment of 24?
So my last moment would be Sirena Samba Mayela, the French hurdler. So I could have chosen her win in European champs in Rome with a fantastic 12:31, but I choose the world indoor gold with a national record in the semis. She almost ran as fast in the final, but now I knew that she could run 12:30 or maybe even faster after this race, because the way she did it was fantastic.
I mean, that photo, we cheated a little bit. It's from the previous World Indoor in Belgrade. But yeah, confirming her title was very good. And I was also impressed that on the longer distance outdoors, she won gold. So she's not a 60-meter hurdler. She is actually very good on the 100 as well.
Yeah, she made big improvements in her technique. She made a strong move, moving from France to USA to train under Irish coach John Coughlin, who led Yasmin Camacho Queen to the Olympic title in Tokyo. And although they don't train together, that was Jasmine's request. They share the same coach, but not the same workouts.
Right.
But Sirena made huge improvement with her lead leg. Now it's straighter and more aggressive toward the ground. And she really has a sprinter attitude off the hurdle, which is Jasmine's trademark. And she's almost as fast now because Jasmine's Camacho Queen PB is 12:26. She's 12:36 to win Tokyo. I think to win the Olympic title, a much faster time will be required, 12:1 probably. But I believe Jasmine, Sirena, and the Americans, and Tobias Mouchon, a lot of, and the Bahamian who set the world indoor record. I missed her name now. Davin.
Yeah, Davin Charlton.
Thank you. What a depth.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at the times that came out from the U.S. trials, that was pretty impressive. And you had Akera at the Jamaican trials also. Yeah. So thank you, PJ. And let's check now the under 20 and under 18 athletes and the performances they've set over the last fortnight. So starting with the under 20. Now, until now, we've been talking a lot about in the 100 meters by Christian Miller. And we have not only the senior South African in La Chaux de Fonds, but an under 20 athlete from South Africa, Bradley Nkoana, 10.03, which moves him to equal number 12 in the under 20 all-time list. Hengelo, a great race there, world under 20 record for Niels Laros, 2:14:37. Cameron Myers of Australia was a little bit further back to 17:44, but he still moves to also equal number 12 in the all-time list, and of course it's an Oceania record. Now the 110 hurdles have been all about Jacob Tharp. He'd moved to number 2 in the all-time lists in May with 13:18 in Memphis. On 12 July, he ran 13:33 in the final and 13:46 in the heats, and those are both times which would make the top 12 in the under 20. Decathlon, interesting performances. We had Hubert Troszianka of Poland moving to number 7 in the all-time lists earlier, like some 3 weeks ago. And there were 2 very good marks by under 20 decathletes. Leo Göransson from Sweden, 8,057 points, moves to number 14. And Amadeus Greber, 5,040 points. Now, Amadeus Greber, of course, has had set the under 20 number 3 mark last year, so that's not his best performance, but he's still back in good shape, which is always good. Among the women under 20 athletes, there were great performances in Monaco, where 3 ladies did very, very well. They all have better times this year, but still very good performances by Melknat Voodoo, 14:43:48. Marta Alemayo, who's only 16, 14:43.84, and Senayet Getachew, 14:44.20. High jump in Paris, Angelina Topic equaled her PB, which she had set in Marrakesh Diamond League earlier this year with 1:98 m. And over the 10 kilometers road race, Debash Desta had moved to number 3 in the all-time list in February, and here she clocked 31:03. That is very close to her mark. So we mentioned that Nils Laros had set a world under 20 record, so we need to honor him with a world record screen. And here we are celebrating Nils Laros and his 2:14.37 over the 1,000 meters in Hengelo. Well done, Nils Laros. Among the under 18 athletes, now another new name in Jamaica, Gary Card. He ran, this was at trials, he ran 10:07 on 28 June, moving to number 3 in the under 18 all-time list. Then 10:15 he'd run in the semi-final earlier that day. And he also competed very well over 200 with 20.50, which moves him to equal number 12 in the under 18 all-time list. So another young upcoming Jamaican, which is always good. 5,000 meters in San Vito al Tagliamento in Italy. Very good mark over 5,000 by Andrew Kipto Alamisi of Kenya, 13:05.55. He moves to number 4 in the under 18 all-time list. Now, there were a few performances from Douala which only showed up now in the under 18 all-time list. I'm not sure if World Athletics had some little question marks initially, but in any case, they are there. Edmond Serem had already clocked 8:20.05 in Nairobi, and he clocked at the African Championships in Douala 8:21.94, which is better than the number 10 in the all-time list, but he already has the equal number 6. Among the women, again, another great performance at trials. Tiana Lee Terrelong, 11.13, and she also moves to equal number 6 in the under 18 all-time list, improving the 11.22 that she had set in March. Over 200, there were some really good performances. Again, at the Jamaican trials, Shanoya Mikalia Douglas, 22:59, moves to, in the 200 meters, moves to number 8 in the under 18 all-time list. Elise Cooper at US trials, 22.71, moves to number 9. And Lisa Ray in Philadelphia on 16 June, she had moved to number 12 in the all-time list with 22.77. 800 meters, we have already mentioned twice Britain's Phoebe Gill. She had set the area under 20 record. She was number 2 on the under 18 all-time list, and her mark of 1:57.86 was so good that she's also number 12 in the under 20 all-time list. And on 30 June in Manchester, she ran 1:58.66. Again, another great performance by Phoebe Gill. Saron Berge also had run very, very fast in Xiamen. She was under 4 minutes. And in Douala at the African Championships, she clocked 4:06.05, which is better than the number 15 mark in the all-time list. But of course, she already has the number 3. Now, we'd mentioned last time that women's hammer was showing some good results with Clara Hegemann and Pinja Kerha. And there were some more good marks, both in Germany and München and Gladbach. And this time it was Nova Kinast with 72 meters 17, who moves to number 9 in the under 18 all-time list. And Clara Hegemann had to be content with second place with 71 meters 66, better than the number 13 in the under 18 all-time list, but she already has the number 6 performance. So, PJ, back to you. Among the under 20 and under 18 athletes, we've seen some very impressive results this year. Now, if you were to pick one man and one woman, who would be your top choices? It's tough, I know, because there's been so.
I think for me, the men's choice was Quincy Wilson, who made the team at age 16, the USA team. That's the youngest one ever, so that's a landmark. He placed only 6th in the men's final after running 2 times PBs in hits and semis. Maybe it was too much for him, and he ran slower in the final and placed 6th, but he's been added in the 4x4 relay pool. If he gets a gold at 16 years old, it would be an incredible achievement, and he would actually match the achievement by Betty Robinson, who won the 100 meters women in 1928 in Amsterdam. She was only 16 by then. So when you are on the US team 4x4, you've got great chance to get a gold, right? So maybe it will happen.
Now that was really amazing. And his times, Quincy Wilson's times in the heats and the semis, they were actually the world under 18 bests. And they're so good that, yes, only 6, but that gets him on the relay pool, which is brilliant at such a young age.
And U20 won the Olympics in Seoul 88. Steve Lewis won with 43.87. So we've been used to see some very young athletes in the US performing very well, extremely well at 400 meters. Maybe it's the new one. And his biological age also is really 16. He's not overdeveloped or overtrained like it happens a lot in youth 18 or 20. So we can see that he's probably a long career ahead of him if he made the great choice and has luck also. It's important in a sport career.
That would be good, because apparently the guys who, he said that he's also a really fun guy, and so hopefully he sticks around for a while and we can enjoy more of his performances.
And for women, it's Angelina Topic, the high jumper. She's actually emulating the result of her father, who had he had the world record junior with 2 meters 36, if I remember correctly. Sorry. And it's great to see. I love the family stories. And her mother was a great triple jumper. So her father only improved by 1 centimeter in senior age, but her mother set her PB at 32 years old. So I hope she has the same development as her mother and has a very long career ahead of her.
Yeah, definitely. And Biliana, she was competing when she was over 40. So a really fantastic sporting family. So I'm also a fan of the Topic family. So thank you, PJ. Now, finally, tell us, what athletes do you think will be Europe's safest bets for glory in Paris?
So for me, the most obvious choice would be Mondo Duplantis, but it's pole vault. And historically, we know that pole vault has been really tricky to many stars. For example, Sergei Bubka, he was 6 times world champion, but at the Olympics, well, 84, he missed it because of boycott. 82, 92, 96, 2000, he was injured or couldn't pass the first bar. He won in Seoul 88, but at the last attempt, and the bar really hesitated on the lockers. So I hope there will be good conditions. I'm not expecting wind or other factors in Stade de France because it's quite closed, and so I think Paul Volter will be safe from swirling wind, which irritated a lot Mundo in Paris, Charletti, which is a different stadium, more open to the wind, and he had to wait long minutes before jumping to have stabilized the wind. It won't happen in Paris, I don't think so. But it's so over the others that I can't see anyone clearing 6 meter 26 or 7, which would be mandatory to beat him. Or maybe because we know he can clear over 6:30 if he has to. So he's well over the others, and I think he's no par in the athletics right now. Other than that, I'm expecting Mauchik to win in Paris also because she broke a very old world record. She's in great shape. She is, I'm impressed by the way, of course, she's performing, giving the circumstance in her country. She's training mostly in Belgium, but many of her teammates are still training in Ukraine. And the other days, the hammer throwers saw bombs exploding on the sky during their training session. So her first words after a world record was to say that she can't really fully happy about sport performance because she has all those things in her mind with the current situation in her country. And I'm very impressed by the way she's performing and the way that she tells her story also in press conferences before meetings. We've seen her many times in Metz indoor, and she's always there at the press conference, always displaying a lot of style and charm, and it's very nice to have her. And probably the third one I see winning is Nafitiam, but she will have. She won in Rome after a long period of absence due to injuries and coaching changes. But now she seems to be back on top with the recent performance also in individual events that shows that her path is going towards the 7,000 points. But she will have a fierce competition from, of course, Katarina Johnson-Thompson as usual, but the new girl, Oriana Lazrak-Klaas, which is from Metz also.
Okay.
That was a big surprise in Rome because she improved 6 of her 7 PBs during the competition.
Yeah, and in the long jump, she was just 3 centimeters behind her PB. Crazy.
It's amazing, and she's always in good composure. She's always happy to be there and giving a lot of good energy in French team. And I'm expecting her to do the same again in Paris.
Exactly. That's why I picked that photo, because of Oriana. Even though I think we should also mention Anna Hall, even though she had a difficult start to the season with her knee injury and surgery, etc. But she showed at trials that she's coming back to the top, and she's always a really tough competitor. So we'll see. But I was happy to see Nafi back at the top because, I mean, she's an unbelievable athlete. And to get her 3rd Olympic title would be huge. One last question. What athletes events are you most looking forward to at the Olympics?
So after this season, where the world record was beaten at 400 meters hurdles and the European records, with two fantastic athletes, two very present athletes to watch and to listen, Sydney McLaughlin and Femke Bol. They are dominating the event, the history of the event as well. And I want to see the clock stopping at 49. It would be incredible to see that.
Well, definitely, especially if there's more of a challenge from Femke, because she's improved so much, it could, it could produce a really crazy result. We had one in the men in Tokyo. Maybe it's the women's time for a barrier breaking time on the hurdles. That would be lovely.
Another event I will follow closely is discus throw, because also the world record was beaten in windy conditions early this year. But Mikolas Alekna has shown a very good form early in the season, but was beaten in Rome by experienced Christian Che.
Yeah.
And we should not forget also Daniel Stoll, who is an incredible major champs performer. And Rome was special because the qualification round was on the morning and the final in the evening. And I think this special format made a lot of surprises in throwing events, in women's shot put also. Yeah. And in Olympics, it will be a classic schedule. But so we will see them at their top. I don't think the format, two competition in the same day for Alekna was good for him. But great competition ahead. Mm-hmm. And another one, I've spoken about it many times during this show, the 800 meters. I kind of imagine the race with Wanyoni doing a Rudisha race with a solo run in front, because he doesn't trust his own finish. So his only solution is a fast race. But even a world record pace race won't save him from the other guys' finish. The guys from Algeria, the Gabriel Tual, Spanish guys also have a great finish. Ben Pattison also is now a 142 low guy after his bronze medal last year. And of course, the world champion Arab.
Yeah.
Incredible race. I'm looking forward to it. And of course, I want Gabriel Tual, supported by the whole Stade de France, making a 12-second last 100 meters and breaking the tape in front.
Why not? He showed that he can compete at the very, very top level, so why not? You have to believe in it for it to happen.
Yes.
And I think you had one last race you wanted to mention.
And the women's 100 meters hurdles, because there have been incredible times this year. A lot of 12.2, a lot of 12.3. We've mentioned the American final trials, which is the greatest race ever in terms of depth. But also the Jamaican trials were won with 12.2. We've got 3 Europeans in 12.3, which has never happened before on the same year, I think. No. So
that's why I chose that photo with Masai Russell and Akara Nugent. It's from a heat in Budapest last year, but those two ladies had some fantastic performances. Then, as you say, you add in Sirena Samba Mayela leading the European pack, and that could be really good. And of course, Jasmine Camacho Quinn will not relinquish her Olympic title easily. Divine Charlton into the mix, that could be really good.
Yes, Jasmine had a difficult mid-season in Turku. She had a fall, and now she's back full speed. And
Yeah.
I expect everyone to be at their top at the Olympics, of course. But it will be very tough, and like in many times, it will be the girl who will make the least number of mistakes.
Yeah.
Probably fast time in semi-final. Maybe in the final there will be a lot of mistakes, and the one who does the least number of mistakes will win. Not the perfect race. The perfect race don't usually happen in finals.
Yeah. Too much pressure in an Olympic final. No, those are going to be really super exciting events. But on my side, I remain with the men's 400 hurdles. I mean, that was a barrier-breaking race in Tokyo with all three top contenders healthy again this year. So this was Tokyo. It was totally amazing. Karsten's world record was wow. And now you have all three of them who are back after, first both Karsten and Alison dos Santos had injuries which blocked them. But now they're all back and healthy. Plus you have Jamaica's Malik James King and even Alessandro Sibilio, I would say, making great progress. So that could really be one of the deepest and most closely contested events in Paris. So really looking forward to that.
In Tokyo, I didn't watch the race live. I was at the village. That was the only session I missed because I was tired and the very hot weather was very difficult to handle. And I decided to have a morning off, but I chose the wrong one. I was very upset to miss that race.
Yeah, sometimes you have to choose between, recovering from mega fatigue, and then you say, bother, why did I decide to do it today?
So I'll make sure I'll be in the stadium for that final in Paris.
Right. Right. So let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. So today, the European Under-18 Championships are starting in Banská Bystrica in Slovakia. Tomorrow, Holloway Pro Classic meet in Gainesville, Florida. On Saturday, as we mentioned, London Athletics meet, the last Diamond League meeting before Paris. And then from the 1st to 11th of August, it's all about the Olympic Games. After that, there's two Diamond Leagues meets coming up on the 22nd of August in Lausanne, on the 25th in Chorzów, the Silesia Kamila Skolimowska Memorial, the Under-20 World Championships from 27 to 31 August in Lima, Peru, and then another Diamond League meeting on 30 August, the Golden Gala in Rome. So, wow. Last few competitions before Paris, then all eyes on Paris. And then we see what happens and how athletes react to their wins and losses when the Diamond League circuit picks up again. So we're now at the end of our show, and it was brilliant having Pierre-Jean back with us on the program.
Thank you, and I love your show because it allows us to have a recap of everything we may have missed on the circuit, because when we travel a lot, sometimes we are not aware of certain performances. And your interviews also are great also on the circuit. Yeah,
thanks. Those are going well, so I'm happy. Because in Budapest, I was trying to, compile them into daily reports, but then Ernest said, post them individually, and he was perfectly right. So thank you, Ernest. And yes, they're doing well, so that's cool. So thank you so much, PJ. Thank you all for watching, and see you in 10 days on Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport. in the very last events before we all focus on the Olympic Games in Paris. Thank you, PJ. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.